History is often told through kings, wars, and open displays of power. But in certain eras, it is not those standing at the front who shape the future. It is those thinking behind the curtain. 16th, Thursday century France. Political intrigue, religious conflict. A fragile crown, and at the center of this storm stood a woman, Catherine de Medici. She was not a battlefield commander. She was not officially the ruler of France. Yet for decades, the fate of the kingdom shifted according to her decisions. This was not loud power. This was silent power. Origins born into POWR, Catherine was born in Florence in 1519. The Medici family was one of the most powerful financial and political dynasties in Europe. From an early age, she understood a critical truth. Power is not always visible. Often, it operates quietly. At just 14, she was sent to France to marry the future King Henry II. For years, she remained a quiet queen in the shadows of the court. Politically sidelined, publicly underestimated, until circumstances changed everything. When the king died, the real game began. In 1559, King Henry II died after a tournament accident. The throne passed to young and inexperienced heirs. France stood at the edge of internal collapse. Catholics and Protestants were entering a violent struggle for dominance. Civil war loomed. Catherine did not step forward publicly. She remained behind the throne, but she assumed control. Though not officially the monarch, she became the central decision-maker in French politics. The strategy of Catherine was not a warrior. She was a strategist of balance. Her goal was not conquest. It was survival. She refused to allow complete dominance by either Catholics or Protestants. She negotiated. She dialogued. She adjusted alliances. Her policies were firm, sometimes ruthless, but rooted in one priority: preserving the state. Because governing in times of chaos is not about choosing sides. It is about preventing collapse. The Street Bartholomew's Day. Massacre 1572. Tensions in Paris reached a breaking point. The Saint Bartholomew's Day massacre shocked Europe. Thousands of Protestants were killed. Historians continued to debate Catherine's exact role. Was it a calculated decision, or a situation spiraling beyond control? What remains clear is this: France did not disintegrate afterward. The monarchy remained intact. The state structure survived. History is rarely simple, but outcomes matter. Beyond politics, architect of Ciotora, Catherine's influence extended beyond survival politics. She supported the arts. She expanded architectural projects. She shaped court ceremony and culture. The foundations of what later became the grandeur of the French royal court were reinforced during her era. Power is not only exercised through force. Culture itself is a form of authority. What is real power? Catherine never ruled as an absolute monarch. Yet during the reigns of 3 kings, her sons, the direction of the state reflected her calculations. She did not command armies. She did not seek public glory. She calculated. She negotiated. She endured, and France endured with her. True power does not always demand visibility. Sometimes it functions through influence rather than title. When Catherine de Medici died in 1589, France was still standing. It had been wounded. It had been shaken, but it had not collapsed. Her legacy remains controversial, debated, and complex. Yet one truth stands firm. Behind fragile thrones, there are often disciplined minds holding them together. Catherine de Medici. The mind behind the French crown. Silent power. Welcome back to our series on the Titans of History. Today, we continue the saga of Catherine de Medici, the Serpent Queen of France. Having navigated the treacherous early years of her regency, Catherine's later life was no less of a tightrope walk. The wars of religion raged on, tearing France apart, and she was at the heart of the storm, trying to hold the kingdom together for her sons. Her second son, Charles IX, ascended the throne, but his reign was forever stained by the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. While history has often painted Catherine as the sole architect of this horrific event, the reality is far more complex. She was a pragmatist. Desperate to eliminate the Huguenot leadership she saw as a threat to royal authority and her son's rule. But the situation spiraled out of control, leading to a citywide slaughter that she likely never intended. This event cemented her dark reputation, a label she would never truly escape. After Charles's death, her favorite son, Henry III, became king. Catherine remained his most trusted advisor, her political acumen as sharp as ever. She tirelessly traveled across France, negotiating treaties and attempting to quell the relentless civil wars. Imagine this woman, in her 60s, riding on horseback for weeks on end, brokering peace deals that others deemed impossible. She was the ultimate diplomat, the true power behind the throne, even as her health began to fail. Catherine's legacy is a paradox. Was she a ruthless tyrant who would stop at nothing to secure power for her family? Or was she a pragmatic ruler who made difficult, sometimes terrible, choices to save France from collapsing into chaos? Perhaps she was both. She was a patron of the arts, leaving a significant cultural mark on France, and a political strategist of unparalleled skill. She outlasted her enemies, outlived most of her children, and fought to preserve the Valois dynasty until her very last breath. Catherine de Medici was not just a queen, she was a force of nature who shaped the course of French history. Often painted as a villain, her story is so much more complex. Arriving in France as an Italian outsider, she had to navigate a treacherous court, but Catherine was a master strategist. She wasn't just a queen, she was a survivor. Heir, mine, goal, to protect the Valois dynasty and secure the throne for her sons. She used everything at her disposal: strategic marriages for her children, lavish festivals to project power, and shifting alliances to balance the warring Catholic and Protestant factions. While her name is forever linked to the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, many historians argue she was trying to prevent a civil war, not start one. Her legacy is a mix of ruthless politics and a deep love for France and her family, making her one of the most fascinating figures in European history. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching.